I was just proven right about the age gap issue. I have long suspected that most of the people complaining about the age gap issue were just putting on a show to pretend like they care, when they don't really care at all, and save face in the process. And my conversation with YouTuber at SwapSlop just proved me correct, that the same people fine with sending a young person to war, or loading them up with student loan debt, are the same people who will cry age gap whenever they need to save face and pretend like they care, and will lie to try to maintain a faked sense of consistency. This whole issue has never been about protecting anyone, it's only ever been about people trying to save face. I will start with the two contradictory comments by @SwapSlop that proved me correct, and then go on to explain my overall view on the issue. @SwapSlop, are you serious? So you're saying you're comfortable with a young person choosing to go to war, or into student loan debt, both of which will wreck their lives. Student loans have an over 80% non-payment rate now, but now you have a problem with them choosing who they want to date? That level of inconsistency only occurs when a person is putting on a show to pretend to care, without caring at all. You just contradicted your previous post and proved me correct. People will literally just lie up anything to save face. This has never been about anyone caring. It's always just about people putting on a show to pretend like they care whenever it suits them to save face. You just literally proved me right with your two contradictory comments quoted below. @Randomy Channel. And when was the last time every 18-year-old got shipped off to war, with tons of debt and made homeless? 1973. Everyone past that draft has joined by choice LMFAO. Argument is still stupid. @Randomy Channel. Nobody said they didn't care. But it isn't the subject at hand. Most people who think the 18 to 30 gap is weird don't like 18-year-olds being shipped off to war either. Duh. Thus, @SwapSlop directly contradicts themselves with their two contradictory comments here, and in doing so proved my suspicions to be correct. These people only care about looking good in front of others. Otherwise they care about more than just who a young adult dates. If they cared about these people, they would also care when they are loaded up with debt or sent to war too. For the record, if they cannot consent to a date, then they cannot consent to student loan debt or war either. Now I will go on to explain my overall perspective on the issue with another comment that I tried to reply to @SwapSlop with, but YouTube deleted it, so I had to repost the comment as a non-direct reply. Why does YouTube just randomly block posts for no reason and without notifying the poster that their post was blocked? Anyway, a truncated version of the totality of my view is as follows. @SwapSlop, actually, it is the subject at hand. It comes down to setting a standard of responsibility. I have seen people say so many times that they knew what they were getting into when they signed that loan, pay what you owe, or sending them off to the military will shape them up and set them straight. Or once they hit 18 they better get a job or it's out on the street for them, even though work hasn't paid enough for decades now, and now even STEM degrees have been made mostly worthless. For the same society that set those standards to come around and then say, well, we treat them like adults in every area of responsibility, to then do an about face and say that we need to regulate their love lives just comes off as so utterly fake, like people putting on a show just to save face when they've already long since lost all face. I don't really want to get into whether or not it's right for a young adult to be able to choose for themselves who they want to date, because I have seen such varied results from people who have had absolute nightmare relationships, to people who actually prefer to date or marry older because they find them more respectful and like having someone with more power and capability on their side. Although I will say that most relationships are nightmares these days, and I have seen so many young people be outright evil and predatory themselves towards others of their own age. It just grates my nerves when I see the same meffers. The same society that takes outright pride in ruining the lives of young people with debt, war, homelessness, etc., then turn around and try to save face on a matter that isn't likely to be nearly as destructive, given that a person can walk away from a relationship if it's bad, in most cases, but they cannot walk away from student loan debt, or PTSD, or the misery of being made homeless. It just comes off as utterly hypocritical, like a bunch of frauds trying to save face. Whatever side you chose, stay consistent. And if you are being consistent, great, but a lot of times I do suspect the people saying they are against student loans and war, etc., are just lying to keep up that consistency and save face. Furthermore, over the years, I have noticed that the people yelling PDF file at someone so many times end up being PDF files themselves. And that whole lady doth protest too loudly issue grates my nerves too. So yeah, I cannot reply to everyone in this comment section, and I hope this comment actually shows, but that's where I stand on the whole matter. And to see all the deflection, projection, and lying stuff up on people tactics, when I call people out, it only sets off my instincts even harder. It's like a huge red flag that I'm dealing with a bunch of narcissistic fakes. And no, I am not projecting myself, as society really does take pride in loading young people up with debt and sending them to war and making them homeless, etc. But anyway, what else is there to say? I also want to point out that with malicious intent, there is no consent, whether it's over a student loan, which are all malicious, a date, brainwashing children into being cannon fodder with video games like Call of Duty, see Pierce Redmond and Tom Secker for more on that, or anything else. So, yeah, that's my view on this whole matter. Please comment, like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And feel free to project, deflect, lie, defame me, slander me, etc., but don't think I won't drop the legal system on your head for doing so.